son of a bitch, you did.
Brachiosaurus 30.
What is up, all? It is I, your archivist, and today we're going to be talking about that dreaded, beloved, epic, and terrifyingly awesome game known as Palworld. It's the game that's blowing up, whether on the Steam charts or in the Twitter threads. You know it, I know it, Asmund knows it.
Where's my ball? No Pal Sphere. Wait, I have to go craft one. I have to go craft the ball.
It's the game that's taken the world by a storm of controversy and gamer love. You've probably heard plenty about the controversy by now, but I wanted to throw my hat in the ring and piss off some of the terminally online personal ATMs of Elon Musk myself. While I'm infuriating them, I could potentially and hopefully ignite the flames of your mind. As you can tell by the thumbnail, I want to discuss one topic about this game. Originality. This will be the question that I'm trying to answer today. Does originality matter? Insert meme here. Wait, I wasn't supposed to say that shit! So, Palworld is just another typical Pokemon clone. If you went to Twitter and you read that, you might be thinking, yeah, it's 100% the same. You run around, you collect animals and humans and force them into sweatshop labor. Also, you arm some of your captives to ensure that they kill your enemies and definitely don't have the ability to start an uprising later. This is exactly how I remember the Pokemans.
Hey, wait a minute.
This is exactly how I remember the Pokemans in my nightmares. Nightmares I now want to have every single day. Nightmares I now want to share with my impressionable children. Nightmares that make me realize the Palworld is simply a hyper-stylized version of our own world. Perhaps a simulation of a simulation. Okay, that's too much reality, so let's go back to escapism. Of course, we all know that Nintendo would never allow us to actually hurt our Pokemans. What HP stands for isn't hit points, you noob. It stands for high five points. Because we all know that Pokemon battles are actually epic high-five contests. The Poke Center? No, that's just a daycare center with extra perks. Wait, no, not like that, you sick bastard. So, anyways, what makes Palworld so moderately successful? Well, after tens of thousands of hours of research that I had my slave, I mean interns. They're called interns. My interns helped with all the work. With all that research, we have concluded that Palworld is 87.6529% unoriginal. And you know what? It's a great game, and you can die mad about it.
Oh, won't somebody please think of
the furries? Now, we are at the crux of the issue. The problem with originality. You see, many artists seem to think originality is creating something completely new. That's fine and all, but how the hell are you going to do that? What are you, an eldritch abomination? No. You're a human who lives in a culture. By the way, that culture indoctrinates you into how you see and perceive the world. Even if you resist it and try to be a contrarian, you're being a contrarian because of the culture. Ergo, you're still dealing with that culture. You're not hip, because that too is not original. You see, the problem with originality is that people keep thinking it's a very broad thing. They talk about it in an almost mystical way, and there is some truth in that matter. That's because in my own experience, at least as far as I can see it, anytime I've witnessed something that I perceive to be original is at first surprising. There's an element of shock to it. My eyes widen, my mouth falls open slightly, my mind shuts up for once, and I become engrossed in the thing that I'm seeing before me. Now, this isn't always a long time by any measure. Although there are some times that happens. It's often though just a breath, fleeting, something here and then instantly gone. There's a rush with it. It's like touching something divine. In that way, originality is highly subjective. For me, Elden Ring Elden Ring was the first Dark Souls game. For me, its style was incredible, different, new, fresh, awe-inspiring. Its lore made me want to chase its thick ass down. It was something altogether different. It was an entirely new experience for me. It was the first time that I actually wanted to roam around and not run after the quest and storyline, which is incredible because I play games primarily for the story. Yet, for someone like Asmon, who's played a lot of Dark Souls games and has had long, extensive talks about them, for him, the Elden Ring style might have been a strange mix of past Dark Souls with something new. Yet, I'd be willing to bet that he would say that Elden Ring had some originality to it. So why is that? That's because originality doesn't come from something that's never been done before. Picasso, while his style created a whole new genre of art, wasn't wholly original. He was borrowing elements of other styles and experimenting through his life. The culmination of his try and try again cycle created something we see as wholly original. Yet what it really was the amalgamation of different parts stitched together into something that is truly unique. Another problem with the concept of originality is that it's used as an ego stick, and not the one that boys have. I do tend to notice a correlation between insecurity and the need to be original. Now, this is anecdotal, as this is simply my experience, but I do want to hone in on this, as I think there is at least some truth to it. When I see people flaunting their originality, they are doing so by a means of showing how unique they are. The focus is on them, and not in the way that they're actually bringing out original ideas. What do I mean by this? Let's circle back to that. See what I did there? I'm a great manager. For now, let's discuss a principle that I believe made Pokemans great again. It's called the strange attractor. And no, that's not the name for a wish-brand Cupid that forces people to interact at a party. That's just Janet. She needs to chill the fuck out.
Yeah, Janet!
Although, if there are some wealthy investors in the audience, I do have an idea for a dating app. No, the strange attractor and not the chaos theory one, though we will cover that a little bit later, but don't worry, I'm not going to hit you with the science too much. Or too hard. But just a little.
Oh my.
But the concept that I'm going for is taking two elements that people know and making them kiss, like this. Oh, theme parks. You're so thrilling. Oh, dinosaurs. That's what I think about you. I have the power now, Janet.
Yeah, Janet!
So, other examples include Westerns with mystical space samurai. That's Star Wars. Lovecraftian horror meets Dark Souls. That's Bloodborne. Giant mechs versus interdimensional Godzillas. Pacific Rim. Martial arts with simulation theory. The Matrix. The Matrix with animals. Kung Fu Panda. Dr. Pepper with big dick energy. The one true King Asmodeus Goldius.
Cat girls better watch out for the one and only Big Dick Energy himself. Yeah, there it is, boys. There it is.
Humor with insightful commentary. The moist penguin Charlie. As you can see, ideas are cheap. The strange attractor is the essence of originality, in my opinion. There's nothing new under the sun, but there are ways of making shadows line up to make interesting images. So, originality isn't about newness in its entirety, but about creating a new experience from familiar experiences. Again, Jurassic Park, the thrill and terror of a theme park, but instead of rides, it's dinosaurs. This concept is one of the many reasons why Palworld is exploding right now. They took the concept of cute, cuddly, happy-go-lucky animals and combined them with the process of how first world countries exist. Or in gamer terms, they took Pokemans and combined it with Ark survival. Checklist, please. Cute animals? Check. Guns? Check. Giving those guns to cute animals?
You crazy son of a bitch, you did.
Survival? Check. Raids? Check. Capturing humans? Now, how do you, as an artist, use the strange attractor? First, you find something popular, then you find something else popular, and then you smash them together using the powers of capitalism to rip them both off and make lots of money. Just kidding. Kind of. Let's dive further into the concept of the strange attractor. It's actually a mathematical concept from chaos theory. Don't worry, I'm not going to use the science on you too much.
Good news! It's a suppository.
In chaos theory, a strange attractor is a type of mathematical set that shows how a dynamic system evolves over time in a complex yet patterned way. It's strange because it has a non-integer dimension and is often fractal in nature, and it's an attractor because the system tends to evolve towards it over time, regardless of the initial conditions. Now, when we apply this metaphorically to creative fields, the strange attractor represents the idea of bringing together two seemingly unrelated or disparate concepts, ideas, or themes to create something new and original. This process can lead to innovative, unexpected results, much like how in chaos theory, complex and fascinating patterns emerge from a simple, dynamic system. So what Palworld did, and you, yes you dear viewer, can do with an easy 100 payments of $5,000, take two different ideas and combine them in a unique way. This is literally how subgenres get established. Take an old idea, combine it with something new, genre babies. Or you take two old ideas and make something new out of them. Like repurposing old people for Soylent Green. And I swear to God, don't get me started on fan fiction. No, get out of here, you! The power of good writing compels you! The power of good writing compels you! And so, in this way, we continue the evolution of stories, experiences, and ideas. Now, let's continue to this next session with a quote from my pal, Voltaire! Originality is nothing but judicious imitation. The most original writers borrowed one from another. I bring up this quote because I think it's absolutely true. Thank you, Voltaire. You may go. No, please, I'll work harder, please, no! In my opinion, art, like philosophy, is simply a long and complex conversation. Whitehead, the founder of process philosophy, said something similar to how all of Western philosophy, in a general sense, is footnotes to Plato's original works. Does that mean all of philosophy is eyeglasses off, unoriginal? I can't believe any reasonable person would say that! Now for this next section, I need to narrow down what I mean when I say debate. Debating is not about winning. That's what we call arguments, plebs. Thank you, modern American politics.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Debates are about working together to come to a deeper understanding of something, to suss out nuances that were previously unnoticed. That is the goal of debate. Debating is about concepts or ideas, not about who is right and wrong. When we're on Twitter railing against the injustices of capitalism while actively participating and benefiting from the capitalistic system we're in, you're not debating. But when you're on Twitter discussing the injustices of capitalism while actively participating with your peers and not circle jerking each other, but instead of working out ways to perceive reality as it is and not merely as it should be, then you are in essence debating. And if you do this long enough, you will inevitably become the master debater. What'd you expect? I have the maturity of a 9-year-old while trying to raise a 9-year-old. Debating and this concept of it is important because I believe this is how art, philosophy, and civilizations develop, for better or worse. When debating, you need at least two sides, two sets of ideals, of ideas, two systems. You can have more, but hey, that's overachieving and you need to just chill out. Debating requires statements to be stated or questions to be raised. Then the other party or parties react and bring up more statements or questions. In this way, we are deepening the debate and opening new avenues for exploration. And if that ain't sexy, you're lame. This is exactly how genres have been getting made all the way back to Granddaddy Tolkien. And by the way, he wasn't exactly wholly original either, as myths preceded his work. My favorite example of this was the genre of cyberpunk, taking dystopian elements and smashing them into a sci-fi setting. Brilliant. In my opinion, this is exactly how art works. We have the quote original, then reactions to it. But those reactions, when not copycatted, are done from another person's perspective, i.e. their style. This creates more nuance, more complexity, deviations, until we spiral so far out that the original doesn't even look like the 4th or 5th generations that were indirectly inspired by it. Now, to continue with the debate metaphor, sometimes people don't like something and so they react in a contrarian way. For instance, the light optimism fantasy of Tolkien and the light optimistic fantasy of Tolkien and Tolkien-like fantasy novels that followed led to the rise of gritty, realistic grimdark. The black and white morality of stories over the last 50 some odd years has led to the rise of gray morality. In this way, debates evolve, but like the hipsters rejecting social norms, they are only contrarians because of the conversation. Their whole identity, while trying to be different, is actually crafted by the thing that they are trying to contradict. So deep, I'm returning to monkey. There is another principle of philosophy that applies here that I would like to point out, the Hegelian dialectic by Hegel. This is simply a 3-step process of thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. According to Hegel, it was by these 3 concepts that all of civilization progresses. Thesis represents the initial condition of an idea, or the starting point of process of development or an argument. Antithesis is the reaction or contrarian to the thesis. It challenges or negates the thesis, presenting a conflicting idea or perspective. Synthesis is the resolution of the conflict between the thesis and the antithesis. It represents a new idea that integrates elements of both thesis and antithesis, transcending them to form a higher level of truth. Oh, and by the way, this is what Kreia was getting at. If you know, you know. Yet, the high point of the dialectical model is why Palworld works. It's the strange attractor. So we've come full circle to my first question. Does originality matter? Yes. Does being completely original matter? No. To what degree is it required to be original? That's up to consumers to decide. So, let's dissect Palworld. It's a survival game, unoriginal. It's a creature collector, unoriginal. It's a creature collector and a survival game, unoriginal. Shit, I thought that one was going to be original. Okay, it's a creature collector survival game where you can make the Pokemans your interns. Wait a minute. I think that's an original idea. Sure, I'm sure that there is some game out there that some sweaty individual is typing in the comment section to show me how ignorant I am. To that I say thank you for helping me with the algorithm. Bless you, sweaty soul. In Ark Survival, at least not in the base game I played, you couldn't force them to work for you. They simply stood around like a bunch of lazy freeloaders that you had to drug to make them your friends. Okay, so Palworld created some originality out of unoriginal ideas. Excellent. You also couldn't give your cute little interns guns. They had their own primitive weapons. What's even more entertaining is having your interns use their weapons to defend your base where they work from non-interns. Because there's really only two pals in this world, interns and those who have yet to be made interns. Again, originality emerging from previously established mechanics. Honestly, the whole base building mechanic is so simple and genius, I think Nintendo should be absolutely ashamed of themselves.
Alright, that's it. Dishonor. Dishonor on your whole family. Make a note of this. Dishonor on you. Dishonor on your cow.
For not incorporating into their games. Like, I think that they should personally go on their YouTube channel and apologize to all of us right now. I'm waiting. We all know they wouldn't put guns in their games, let alone let you use them against these elemental beasts of chaos. But seriously, Palworld beat them to this mechanic. Point Palworld. This really does prove how lackluster Pokemon games have truly become in the last decade. I hadn't personally played any in the last decade, save for one, because I just had fallen off, and I thought the one that I'd played was amazing. But it's amazing when you haven't played any in the last 10 years, and that's a really low benchmark.
It's the opposite of getting an extra chicken nugget in your 10-piece.
My god, she sounds hot. Okay, so with all that being said, there's one last question I want to answer. So how does one be original? Long sigh. Damn it! Okay, I know this is going to sound corny, but here's the truth. Originality actually comes from you being yourself.
Boo! You stink!
I know, but hear me out. You aren't just a person. You're a collection of thoughts, experiences, preferences, biases, emotions, and 1,000 other things. The way all of those things are connected is what makes you unique. You could have a twin, same genetics and all that, but the fact you have different experiences, thoughts, and preferences makes you a completely different person inside. Being original is about being you, the genuine you. It's about taking the things you love and stitching them together into some sort of Frankenstein monster. It's not about ripping off ideas, but taking the elements you love within those ideas. It's about analyzing them and figuring out what you love about them and how to incorporate them with the other things that you love. Sometimes it's simply taking one idea and stretching it to your preference. In these ways, you've put your own personal preference on these things. I've literally built most of my universe doing this. A lot of my own work is simply watching something and going, wow, I love that. How could I incorporate that into my universe? For instance, I watched Kung Fu Panda and I asked myself, how could I get humanoid animals in my universe in an interesting way? Thus was born the anima. Humanoid animals who were once human, but were forcibly transformed by a curse for opposing the gods during an ancient war. Each type of animal represents a specific sin the gods deemed them guilty of. Within the setting I'm currently fleshing out, they're the lowest rung of the heavenly hierarchy, and they are primarily used as slave interns! Sure, someone could come along and say, I'm an original, and stole this from Kung Fu Panda, but then I'd point them all the way back to fairy tales and, well, the Egyptians. Being original isn't about obtaining this holy grail of crafting something completely new that is out of the collective experience of humanity, but it is about putting your own personal spin on things, adding your experience to the things you're creating. There is no better proof of this than Miyazaki and how summoning other players works in the Dark Souls games. It It was derived from a particular experience that he had, and that experience makes the whole thing beautiful in its own way. And if that isn't art, I don't know what is. Now, there is a caveat to this. Putting your spin on things doesn't mean that it can't backfire. The reason I think most Hollywood movies don't work is that executives go and put their, quote, spin on things. Actually, that's because executives are actually reptilians, and they put their spin on things that work for reptilians, but not for monkey. But that's just a theory.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never
Along with that caveat comes an additional. Being original doesn't mean you'll be appreciated. People don't care how long you've labored or how much blood, sweat, and tears went into making a piece of shit. Let's be real. If the collective is telling you it's shit, I suggest taking Miss Frizzle's advice. Now, there is a caveat to the caveat. The inverse to the previously mentioned appreciation of effort is contrasted when you're dealing with a masterpiece or something done well. People tend to respect and even admire the amount of hours that went into making such works of art. They marvel at all it took to make an amazing piece of art. They see the value in the production and are willing to value your dedication and hard work in making that art. So remember, at first you don't succeed, figure out why the hell it didn't. Because masterpieces are made after many, many smaller successes, but also many more failures. Another caveat! You can do this for purely economical endeavors. In the writing community, there is such a thing as writing to market. And no matter how angry this makes those who snobbishly oppose it, it has had plenty of commercial success, and thus is validated. For those who don't know, writing to market involves seeing what is trending and then quickly putting together a quality product to serve to the masses in as short a time as possible. Those who succeed often understand the underlying why of a trend's success. Trend chasing is often bad, but you do see that small indie teams who are able to do it successfully every now and then. But I do think that this is because they are smaller, more agile, and often understand the underlying why of the trend's success and aren't chasing the trend merely for profit. Palworld might have simply been chasing a trend. And so, if they did it in the best way possible. Survival game, creature collector, open world, RPG mechanics. They used the strange attractor to create something we all didn't know that we wanted. I'm not saying that there was no passion, as I think that's an X factor that can boost the quality of a game, but that's not necessarily quantifiable. So, how do we use this? Find the things that make you happy. Find the things you love. Use them as means of expressing yourself. Again, I don't mean in a flippy-dippy hippie way. I mean staining ideas with your own inner conception of the world. And thus you create something that's colored in you. Next, understand why certain ideas were successful or why current states of things are the way that they are. Baldur's Gate 3 succeeded in simply providing a whole experience without microtransactions, a direct defiance to the industry standard. Now, did they make as much as Diablo Immortal? No. But did they earn the loyalty and admiration of fans for years to come? Yes. Same goes for From Software. And I promise you in the long term that means far more than the money. Now, understand why something works the way it does. Why do you like it? Why do other people like it? Work out all the ways you'd change this idea. How you'd spin it. What are the things that you don't like? And just get rid of them. And then find other things that you love and add it into the holes that you've made. And in that way you made something different. Something unique. Don't rush this stage. Really dig into what you love. Figure out the particulars. Doing this isn't just art, by the way. This is a means of self-reflection. In this way, you're getting to know yourself better. Thus, peak philosophy. Once you have that, you can shift your focus on gathering ideas. Remember, ideas are cheap. It's not the ideas that make the artist, but the implementation of ideas. Continue working on stringing your ideas together until you have something that you are absolutely crazy about. From there, continue to work and refine it. Don't be afraid to chase ideas and concepts that don't exactly align, as a whole new synthesis may come out of this that intensifies the experience of what you're building. And there you have it. How to be original in 50,000 complicated steps. If you made it this far, I hope you've enjoyed it. If not, why the hell are you still here? You know, the things that would help the channel, those dark rituals that appease YouTube's eldritch abomination. Your sacrifice is appreciated, soldier. As I've mentioned earlier, I'm an artist myself, more on the writing variety. I'm still learning to draw. So, if you like science fiction and fantasy, then please check out my narrated stories. And in the description, there's a link to a free story, so enjoy. I have been your archivist, and I'll talk to you later. Well, I'll talk at you later.